What's up, my brothers from another mother? Got a request today from a gentleman who wants to talk about masculinity. Specifically, the subject of his request is Masculinity 101. Before I hop into it, I need to shout out to the channel sponsor, the Tactical Soap Company. Scott's been good enough to sponsor the creation of content on my channel. Just minimize this over here. If you click the link pinned in the top description, you can check out with coupon code Cooper and get 10% off any of these products on the link. I will say this, guys, not only is it pheromone infused soap, but I have noticed this winter, I do get very dry, red, itchy skin on my scars. It's always been that way since I was a little kid. And this is the first winter using the tactical soap that he's been shipping me where I haven't had that dry, itchy, scratchy problem. So that also solves that too. It's a very, very high quality product. Again, made in the United States. He's a guy that likes to support the creation of masculine content for men. Some other companies like to kick you in the Johnson and sell your razor blades. We're not doing that with Scott. He's an awesome dude. So consider supporting the creation of content. This is by far the best value, 5 for the price of 4. Check it out. Now, I got this long message from this gentleman, and he's talking about a whole bunch of things here. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to distill it because there's some language in here that I don't think would fly that well with YouTube. To kind of sum it up, he's talking about masculinity and male dominance and strength and the virtues that come along with that. And I think, that being said, pinned in the description of all my videos, I've got Jack Donovan's book. He's a friend. He's a great author. Met him a few times. I would start with probably The Way of Men, which is kind of an opening discussion on these topics, the tribal nature of men. The follow-up to, The Way of Men was this one. Yeah. The follow-up to that is A More Complete Beast and Becoming a Barbarian. All three of them are really good books. Enjoyed them immensely. They're available on Audible too. So again, in the description, click that. It'll drop down. You're going to have to scroll about halfway down and you'll grab the link for those books over there. So with that being said, masculinity is under a lot of pressure and attack today through toxic feminism and the way that the environment is in our landscape. And if I'm being honest, it's kind of exhausting to listen to all of these Me Too's, the false allegations, to hear people say over and over again that masculinity is toxic. I had a kid at the gym not too long ago that kind of hit me up on the way out. And he's like, hey, man, watch your stuff. Want to appreciate, talk to you a little bit. And he also told me this story about this girl that he fancied, thought that she was attractive. And he was complimenting her. And it looked like he was about 20, so probably college, university age. And she responded with, your masculinity is too toxic. Get away from me, which is really bizarre. And he did the right thing. He kind of just walked away from it. So these women that are toxic feminists that are trying to change the direction of society by making women more masculine. It's one of the things that the sponsor had pointed out, and making men more feminine. It's not going to work. It's not working. If all men stop doing their jobs for about a week, watch what would happen to society. I don't think the results would be similar if all women stopped working for a week. People that maintain your cell phone towers, sewage lines, garbage collection, the hydro grid, gas line repairs and maintenance, and oil and gas rigs and all that sort of stuff. People that drive the trucks to the gas stations where you get your gas. Your groceries are mostly driven to the grocery store by trucks driven by men. I mean, society would come to a grinding halt. I don't know the same would be true if women didn't go to work for the day. Government would probably shut down schools, hospitals. The sorts of jobs that women sort of gravitate to would obviously be compromised, but not in the sense that he's pointing to in a sponsored request. Men create, we tinker, we build things. Masculinity is part of that. And one of the things he was pointing to in his request was there was some components of it, like they medicate boys now in schools on a regular basis because of hyperactivity, because the school system basically looks at boys as defective girls. So because they've designed a way to learn for girls, and they're trying to force boys to learn the same way, and they don't do it. They just medicate them. They give them Ritalin and all kinds of drugs. They kind of sit there like zombies, which isn't very good for boys and development and learning. Boys learn by tinkering, by picking up things and breaking them. I mean, it's not often you'll see like a 5 or 6 year old boy, display the tactical virtues of courage, strength, mastery, and honor. These are the things that Jack Donovan talks about in his books when it comes to masculinity. So is it under attack? Yeah. Is masculinity, being compromised as time passes? I think absolutely. We've seen through blood lab results anyway that male testosterone levels have been dropping dramatically over the last 50 years. A man in the 1940s that was 60 years old probably has a testosterone level as most guys in urban cities that are 25, and that's absolutely ridiculous. For our endocrine system as men to be compromised to this degree, to this extent, because of the war on men, as it would be, as this gentleman was pointing out, I can't disagree with him. I can't read his entire sponsored request because of some of the language that he uses. It's almost like he's blowing off some steam, and I get that. His original intent in the request was really to talk more about game and red pill awareness, but he actually deleted. He said he deleted the whole email and rewrote it, talking about masculinity and his frustration and his experiences living in a world today as a man where masculinity is deemed toxic. It's interesting. It's an interesting topic and component of the world we as men live in today. I think it would be a great talk if I had Jack on for maybe a live broadcast to have a discussion on that in the future. If that's something you guys want to see, let me know in the comments. But as far as it goes here with his request and the frustration that he's dealing with, I'm just going to go back to the bottom over here and just kind of deal with his closing notes, because he said down over here that we've got all these problems and the negativity and the problem with masculinity and his aggression. He's a very aggressive guy. He's speaking in very clear and concise terms, almost like he's talking to me as a brother in the locker room. He's talking about the hooligan lifestyle and how I guess he's out in the UK. He's talking about what would happen at soccer games and how men would be that aggressive and pursue the game and pursue the win of the game and really have that much vested strength into the game. He's lost friends through this. He sees society changing, and I get how this burden of performance that men have is slowly being quashed. And we're told to quiet down. We're told to cool our jets and not be men. And there's an element of guys that can't control their emotion. I get it, and maybe there are some guys that do need to cool their jets. But for the vast majority of the population, we need more masculinity, not less of it. I think something like 43% of boys these days are raised in single mother households. There's a total absence of masculine, strong male role models for many children today growing up, simply because toxic feminism has told women, you don't need a man, girl. You can do this by yourself. The state has now become the head of the household. All you have to do is vote for the right party, and then the state will implement policies, procedures, and legislation in place that will ensure that you don't need masculine men, ladies. And unfortunately, that's not working for you. One of the things I like to ask guys whenever I coach them is, hey, man, how's that working out for you? And clearly, this notion of children being raised fatherless, children being medicated, boys, more specifically in the school system as they kind of go through it, told to quiet down, cool your jets. The guy at the gym that approached me the other day, it was saying, this girl said your toxic masculinity was bothering her. Guys are going to walk away from women like that. They're not going to want to be in relationships with them. They're certainly not going to wife them up. They're learning the reality of the world and the risks that are associated with it. And it's why there's a good chunk of the population that just decides to go their own way and they don't want to deal with women. And there's I can't honestly blame them. I can't blame, I agree with the observations a lot of men make when they get frustrated with the sexual marketplace. It's very hard to disagree with them because I see them too. I don't necessarily agree with the solution to completely disconnect from society. I don't agree with the solution to buy a doll and make that your source of intimacy. I think you can navigate the sexual landscape or the sexual marketplace, as it's put, properly if you understand, the nature of human beings, not just women, but human beings. That's the thing about, it's called the manosphere, and I never really liked that term or that coin term that they use for it, but it talks an awful lot about chasing tail instead of chasing excellence. That's one of the things he brought up in his request was men pursue excellence. We pursue competency. We pursue those skills. Those are the skills that women find attractive. Those are the cues that women look for in mate selection. Yet societally, and the way toxic feminism goes, is it tries to subdue that. Stop looking so strong and masculine. Shave your beard off. We saw what Gillette did with their razor commercial recently in the early part of the year, talking about how, boys will be boys, and they portray men as these bumbling idiots, these bimbos standing around by the barbecue with their arms crossed. Former versions of greatness, just barbecuing up some crap. It's just so bizarre, the world that we live in, and I don't see any way to correct it. He wasn't specifically asking for a solution. He kind of wanted me to talk about his request in Masculinity 101. So that's my general feedback on it. It is what it is. My closing thoughts on it are, guys, understand the world that we live in. Understand the risks associated with the world that we live in. It's what I talk about on this channel. I encourage men to chase their passion, chase their purpose, become a man of vision, value, competency. Chase your excellence. Do not chase tail. Ignore too much of that blah, blah, blah that people get caught up in the red pill or the manosphere when it comes to talking about 300 episodes of how to game your wife or how to, use dread or whatever. Enough. Work on yourself and tune into the masculine virtues that make men strong. Let's make men great again. Okay, forget about the other crap. Let's make men great again. All right, that's my summary on your sponsored request. I want to thank you for sending that my way. I'd encourage you guys, if you're going to send me these requests, make sure you use language that I can read out loud on the YouTube channel. What I'll do is I'll copy and paste this in the comments so you guys can read his request to get some feedback. Leave a comment below for this guy as well. I'll also mention as well over here, if you want to make a request, it's just entrepreneursandcars.com/request. If you're stuck on something, you sponsor the topic, you just make a PayPal donation, you send me an email with what it is that you're stuck on, you want some feedback on. There's also my men's community. I'll put cards up for both of these, so they'll pop up on the top right of your screen. Premier Community for Men. Watch that video, explain how it all works. But we do a bunch of awesome stuff. I'm doing a live learning event tonight on divorce to help guys navigate either planning as they're going through it or on the exit. We also do a bunch of other stuff. We got a private discussion forum on Facebook, monthly Q&A, live broadcast. I have a premium library there of videos that are not on this channel publicly. They're private videos because I don't like to water down certain topics. So I leave that there for the guys specifically to get extra value on. And you can check that out if you become a member. VIP access to live broadcasts, live events, and discounted monthly coaching rate. Normally my rate's $600 an hour. I do it for $500 for my community members, and you get access to all these great things. So check that out. Again, thanks for supporting the creation of content on my channel. Massive appreciation. Here's to men. Let's make guys great again. See you guys later. Peace.